Here's what's coming up on today's show.
If you have food on the table and you're getting your bills paid, max out your 401k each year. If you can do that, not necessarily are you going to be in great shape, but you'll be in much better shape than if you're just doing the minimum or just doing the match.
Hello, this is Mark Silverman, managing member and founder of Silverman & Associates, and I'm also a certified financial planner professional. I want to welcome you to the Saving with Silverman podcast. I'm glad you're here. Each week, we'll discuss different financial planning topics because making smarter choices about your money impacts the quality of your life.
Hey, Mark, I got a quote of the week here for you from Tony Robbins, who's been known to say some inspirational things. And, you may like Tony Robbins or not.
I do.
Yeah, he's, a guy that people either love or hate sometimes. But he said, setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. What do you think of that one?
I agree with that. What they say is, writing things down. Like if you don't write down your goals, then you don't really have them. Same thing with financial planning, to be honest with you. A lot of people may think they have a plan in their head, but until you put pen to paper and have it written down, or not even pen to paper anymore, it's in the computer, a lot of this stuff, but having it written down and into a system where we can run the numbers and have an actual plan, then those goals don't become reality. And when you can visualize things better when they're either written down or put in a place that you can see them. So Mark, I'm a big fan of that.
Yeah. I know you get a lot of questions from time to time about 401ks, and it's a major topic on this show. So we thought it would be a good idea to address as many of those as we can in one conversation here. So I'm going to ask you some questions all related to 401ks. And one, let's say my company plan is offering a program where I can get advice on my 401k for a very low fee. Is it a good idea to use that?
Well, I would say, and to answer your question, I think if you're listening, 401ks for a lot of people, this is their biggest asset as far as investment-wise, other than their home typically. And this would also apply to, thrift savings plans, TSPs, 403Bs, deferred comp, that sort of thing. So I think all these things. But as far as, there are some companies out there that you can pay a fee to, and they'll do like a little model allocation for a fee. It's okay, depending on what the fee is. I've seen those range. I think for what they offer can be a little bit expensive for what they're doing. But it's important that if you're not rebalancing and reallocating on a regular basis, you're really missing the boat. And, I'd say 9 times out of 10, most people set up a 401k and they don't change it since they started it. And typically I'll ask them, how did you come up with this allocation? And a lot of them say, well, a friend of mine told me what to do, who's a coworker. So anyways, if this is your biggest investment account that you have, you should have somebody either proactively managing it, which we can do. We have a system that we can actually go in and manage 401ks for people while it's still in the plan. But having this company that can come in and do it, sometimes I find it's expensive for what they're doing because they're not that active in it.
And if you have a good financial advisor, you don't need that.
You can have us do it, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it done in-house, correct.
So we're talking about frequently asked questions concerning 401ks here. And Mark, should I contribute as much as I can to my 401k or only as much as the company is going to match?
That's an easy one, as much as you can. I mean, the goal would be if you have food on the table and you're getting your bills paid, max out your 401k each year. If you can do that, not necessarily are you going to be in great shape, but you'll be in much better shape than if you're just doing the minimum or just doing the match.
Yeah.
The match is the total minimum you should be putting in, quite honestly. Ideally, you should be putting in as much as you can each year.
Should I use target date funds in my 401k?
I think if you just start your 401k, I think it's fine to go with one of those. Once you get about $5,000 to $10,000 in that account, you should get out of the target date funds because they are more expensive. They're a fund to fund. So if people don't understand what they are, you'll see a target date, fund 2030 or 2035 or 2040. It has a year after it, and they're usually in 5-year increments. But it's a fund to fund. So they take a bunch of different mutual funds and they put it into one fund. So you have fees from those funds with an overlay fee on top of that. And then the idea is as you're getting closer to that number, you're getting more bonds into that portfolio, so less growth over time. The problem is most people aren't retiring on a 2030 or 2035. If you retire in 2033, that doesn't really match up. And they're not. We can build. So what we do with clients is we'll build our own portfolio out of those choices, which is a much better way to do it, and we can make it more customized. So,
yeah. You're listening to Saving with Silverman with Mark Silverman here, and the number to call if you'd like to get in touch with Mark and have your own conversation with him, completely free of charge. You can call or text 520-333-7601. Okay, 401ks is, a lot of people build up a lot of money in their 401k, and that's great, and then they have some kind of a financial difficulty, and they have the opportunity to take a 401k loan. Is that always a bad idea?
I think you need to be careful with it. I find people are taking loans on these accounts, and the max you can take is only $50,000. Mm-hmm. So if you have $1 million in there, you're only getting $50,000 out of it. So it's not a ton of money that you can get out, but the problem is, your job certainty. What if you lose your job or you quit your job? If you have a loan outstanding, it becomes taxable. And if you're under 59.5, you have a 10% penalty on top of it. So, and if you're taking a loan, you're probably having some financial issues to begin with. So if you end up losing your job, then that just compounds it because now that loan is taxable. And so, and there's penalties. So I typically don't recommend taking 401k loans. But a lot of people do, and unfortunately there's not a lot of advisors that are advising these people. They just call an 800 number and have it done and don't realize that there's a lot of bad things that can happen with that loan if it doesn't get paid off.
Yeah, a lot of ramifications there for sure. And the last question I wanted to ask you here about 401ks is, when should I take money out of my 401k and roll it over to an IRA?
That's a great question. So, and this again applies to 401ks, TSPs, 403bs, deferred comps. As soon as you're eligible, so if you leave a job, you should roll it to an IRA and get it out of your old employer's system. If you're 59.5, you can do what's known as an in-service distribution. So if you're still working there, you could roll the vested portion out and roll that into an IRA. The benefit of that is you have unlimited choices. So your 401k, TSP, etc., you have limited choices of what you can do. Not only that, there's access issues. You have to call an 800 number. They're not the easiest to deal with, especially TSP. But a lot of other providers, especially if it's an insurance company or something like that, they can kind of be difficult. So you could take that money, roll it to an IRA that's self-directed. If you're working with us, we could manage it for you. And we can do anything we want with that account. We can do ETFs rather than using more expensive mutual funds. We can have it, professionally managed for you. So there's a lot of benefits of getting out there. You can control the fees and a lot of times reduce the fees that you're paying and have better investment options. So, and you have control of it. You don't have to worry about if you have a bunch of old 401ks and you move, having to transfer all these different accounts. That you can combine these accounts into one IRA, and it's a lot easier to manage going forward. So there's a lot of benefits of getting out there. So if you leave a job or you're 59.5 and you have a current plan, look at doing an in-service distribution or rolling that out into a self-directed IRA.
Well, bottom line here, it's always better to have control of it yourself rather than having that control with somebody else, right?
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have 401ks and they have questions about 401ks. If you find yourself in that category, why not call Mark Silverman's office and have a short conversation with him about it? And that's, not going to cost you anything and not going to obligate you to do anything at all. The number to call is 520-333-7601. 520-333-7601. Mark Silverman has the True Wealth Financial Life Planning process and can put it together for you if you decide you'd like to work with him. If you want a conversation just to explore the possibility to get to know him a little bit, and he can get to know you and find out about your hopes and dreams. And it's all about your lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle you want in retirement and all that sort of thing. It's not a generic cookie cutter set of rules when it comes to putting together the average retirement plan. There's no such thing. It's all individual, all individually planned. Saving with Silverman gives you the opportunity to get to know Mark, and he would love the opportunity to get to know you. One more time, call or text 520-333-7601. You've been listening to the Saving with Silverman podcast. If you have any questions at all about your financial situation, please give Mark Silverman a call. Again, his number is 520-333-7601. Or go online to savingwithsilverman.com. For Mark Silverman, I'm Ron Stutz. We'll see you next time on the Saving with Silverman podcast.
The Saving with Silverman podcast is brought to you by Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, based in Tucson, Arizona. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and everywhere you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show on your favorite app today and never miss an episode. Just search for Saving with Silverman to find us, or visit savingwithsilverman.com to listen to past episodes, to contact Mark, and to learn more about how to make smarter decisions with your money.
Did you know that Mark Silverman also has a radio show? Tune in to Saving with Silverman Saturdays and Sundays at 3 p.m. on AM 790 KNST.
All matters discussed on this show are for informational purposes only. Opinions expressed are solely those of Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, and staff. All topics covered are believed to be from reliable sources. However, Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, makes no representation as to its accuracy or completeness. This show shall in no way be construed as a solicitation to sell securities or investment advisory services to residents of any state other than Arizona or where otherwise permitted. Topics should be discussed with your individual advisor prior to implementation. Fee-based financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Silverman & Associates Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor in the state of Arizona. Insurance products and services are offered through Silverman & Associates, an affiliated company.